screen. There we go. Okay, folks. So welcome to today's town hall, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our bi-weekly event. As always, I'm just going to kick off with a few housekeeping notes for everyone. So as usual, we are live streaming and we are recording this event. So if at any point you do get disconnected, feel free to jump on over to our YouTube channel. You can make sure that you're keeping up to date there if you have any issues with your Zoom. As always, we're going to do some product updates from the team, and then we'll move over into the Q&A section. Opportunity for you to ask your questions about any of the new features and provide your feedback as well. Before we get into it today, I also wanted to just call out a couple of upcoming events that folks might want to pay attention to. So this time next week, we are going to have a direct Q&A with Andrew. So looking forward to that. That's going to be a deep dive on kind of all the latest features we have with Direct, and even kind of a bit of a backfill on some of the updates that have been out for a while that folks may not be used to, may not have heard about, really kind of giving, an A to Z of what our direct offering is all about, and an opportunity for you to ask questions there to Andrew, our Director of Product. And then also in 2 weeks' time, we'll of course have another town hall. So feel free to scan those QR codes and get those links saved, add them to your calendar. I'll bring those links up again at the end of the session as well for anyone that doesn't grab them now. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to now hand over to Pierre. Pierre.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. You're lucky this session, you don't get to hear my voice, and that's because we have plenty of product updates coming. I just have to recap on previous episodes on Hospitable town halls, and just recap on the 3 different billings initiatives. I rather basically have your Q&A, your questions during Q&A directly, if you have any questions or clarification and that you need on those billing initiatives, which to recap, we have 3 at this point in time. So since the 1st of May, we released our new plans, Host and Pro, which are available for you for if you are new customers or if basically you've canceled and you want to reactivate in the future. There is also a new plan, Mogul, that's coming soon. That's of particular interest to property managers or co-hosting businesses. And I hear that Emily will have some great updates for you on our owner statements feature. Starting June 15th, we have 2 things that are going to be kicking in. And so we ask that you pay attention to those events and take decisions before that date. The first thing is that smart devices is going to be available for you as an add-on. And that's already the case. If you are under one of those news plans like Pro, for example, that's going to be applicable now for every customer, that every legacy customers before the 1st of May of this year. So it's going to be available as an add-on, $5 per device. The second thing is that if you've been a customer with us before 2022 included, there's going to be an adjustment from the $18 and $25 to the $40. That's been the case since 2022 for every customers, and that allows us to simply invest more resources back again on customers, products, and support. There is one new thing, so I'm just mentioning it there. If you are going to be particularly interested, you're going to receive a communication by email from us today or in the coming hours. Since last week, we made it available for all customers to switch to one of those new plans. We heard on Facebook, on our groups, and from our support channels that obviously some customers are interested in switching to our Host or Professional plan. This is not irrational. This is very much something expected, in that you will be more interested in having a refined product, simplified on what the job needs to be done, or having something that's going to be more loaded with features, especially with Direct and Smart Locks, that's actually allowing you to increase your revenue. So those plans are available to you. I would attract everyone's attention, especially to the Host plan or Professional plan, because they may be saving you money, depending on what your setup and the features that you are using, and obviously the number of properties that you are having. On that note, nothing else to say at this point in time. I'm coming back to you for the Q&A, but we do have some updates around our AI roadmap that are this time going to be presented to you by Anmol.
Hey everyone. So just wanted to touch on some things that we've been doing on the AI front at Hospitable. Number 1, AI review suggestions. That's something that we have shown you a couple of times. With this feature, what we are going to be doing for you is recommending personalized AI suggested reviews for everyone. Even if you have review rules activated in your account or not, these suggestions are going to be made to you, and you can then edit them at any point and then schedule them to publish on Airbnb. With this new feature, we're also introducing a couple of new things, which is the private feedback. So now you can also add private feedback for your guests before a review gets published. This is something that we never supported before, but we are going to be introducing with this feature. And we are going to also enable you to delay publishing the reviews, just like we had before within a feature called bad reviews. So if you're expecting a bad review from a guest, you can delay it moving forward. Right now, AI review suggestions, that's in beta. So we have been testing it with all of our users that have experimental features enabled in their account. But soon enough, as soon as this week, in fact, we are going to be rolling it out for everyone. So be on the lookout from a message from our chat system where I'll tell you that this feature is now available to you. Moving on, we want to talk about upcoming features that we are going to be introducing on AI. So one thing that we wanted to cover during our town hall today is the fact that right now, Inboxing the AI does not have access to your information related to calendar or availability. Now, this has been leading to the AI hallucinating information related to stay extensions or even availability. So today itself, we added more safeguards to stop AI from doing that. This would mean that for a limited amount of time, if your guest is asking you questions about stay extensions or availability, the AI is not going to hallucinate everything. However, by next town hall, what we intend to do is we want to give AI every helpful or relevant data associated with calendar and availability, so it can answer questions on your behalf. Again, these are going to be suggestions on your behalf for check-in requests, early check-in requests, or extra nights during a guest stays as well. You can use the Suggest with AI feature to soon answer all these questions, and we hope to launch them before the next town hall. Next topic that I want to talk about is guest experience AI. So this is something that has been in the works for, I would say, a couple more, more than a couple of weeks now, actually. We've been testing this internally. Again, this is a big feature for us. What we want to do is enable just a one-click experience to our hosts for them to freshen up their messaging rules and even making them more personalized. We're adding some improvements that our AI is going to be making to your scheduled messages. But at the same time, we want to keep this open, and you can always request new improvements from us. As soon as this feature goes live to you, you will be able to tell us if you need more improvements, and we are going to be making sure that we add some of them based on whether they make sense or not, or whether they are achievable to this feature. We have already shown you a couple of things regarding how this guest experience AI can improve your messages. But I just want to show you another example here as well. As you can see, so a lot of you already have some things like checkout instructions that part of your scheduled messages. You can see on the left-hand side, there's an original message that's going to be written by you, the host. And once guest experience AI is activated in your account, the AI is going to do a good job recognizing what the guest stay was about, whether the guest came with a pet or a kid, and it's going to then personalize or improve your messages based on all these detected conditions. This feature is going to be rolling out to a small percentage of users in the coming week. And when I say small percentage, I really do mean that we want to test it before we bring it out to everyone. But again, feel free to request more improvements once you get access to this feature. Please make sure that you give us feedback so we can improve this feature for you guys moving forward. And just to touch up on everything, this feature is going to be deactivated by default for you. So in order for you to activate it, once you get access to this feature, you have to go to guest experience. Once turned on, this will only impact your future scheduled messages, and it's only going to impact messages that are no longer than 1,000 words. And at every point, you remain in control. You can simply undo improvements if you wanted to, or you can just disable AI improvements altogether with just one click. Keep that in mind, and I hope you guys experience this feature just like we did. And I'll hand the floor to Derek.
Hey everyone, just a couple of updates from Direct, but they're pretty big. One small one, we mentioned last town hall that we were going to add basically the ability to reuse an existing verification for Direct Premium hosts if the guest had stayed with us before and already verified, so they don't have to do that again. That's now live, so you'll see this when you're creating a custom quote, and we're going to recognize the repeat guest, enter their information for you. We're also going to now find any verification they have. And then when they go to pay for the quote, we will no longer ask them to go through that auto host guest vetting flow. And again, the idea with that is we'll expand this next to basically creating accounts for direct booking guests so they can do that from your website as well. And we'll recognize returning guests for Hospitable that have already been verified. They'll have an account with Hospitable in a sense, and we'll be able to just keep kind of pulling some of the friction out of that guest vetting experience for them. But the big update is we are very, very close to launching rental agreements, starting first with direct and then moving into all supported hospitable channels. So this is not live as of today, but we really, really pushed on this since the last town hall. So we're very close. Hopefully we'll go to beta users this week. Don't hold me accountable for that, but we'll try. So I've got a bunch of screenshots. It's being tested internally at the moment, but what it gives you is ability to create your templates, as many as you like. You scope them to properties as well as length of stay. So if you only need rental agreements over 30 days or less than a number of days, you can do that. And then we'll start building your archive history of signed, locked PDFs that are unable to be altered. So let's take a look at what that looks like. Miles is going to get a busy workout here for his finger going through all these screenshots. So this is what it's going to look like. So we're housing this or homing this within guest experience, which is exciting because guest experience is really more about your messaging rules. It's about the guest experience. And so we're excited to just kind of change the mentality around that internally as well and start thinking more holistically about guest experience and what we can do to be involved in that. So the guest portal is going to live here. Again, that's a direct only concept right now, but it's very soon going to be an all OTA concept. So you can use your guest portal, which again is morphing into something like a guidebook in a given timeline, and become more and more of a showcase of your property, getting people excited in that part of the guest journey that's kind of post-booking and pre-check-in. And the first feature we're putting there is reservation agreements. So here you add a reservation agreement. On the next slide, you can see that these support all the short codes that you're familiar with. And we even built in a rich text editor. So you're able to do kind of like your heading tags, numbered list, unnumbered list, bold, italics, alignment, links, all those kind of things to support a rich text experience. And you can, again, scope this for length of stay and property parameters at the moment. So on the next one, this is going to then, every reservation that gets created on Direct, this is going to become a task. So if it matches one of the scoped rental agreements that you have, we'll add that as a task in their guest portal. So they see that actions required. We'll remind them if they haven't signed the agreement within certain checkpoints. But once they click on that task, they'll see the next screen. And we'll get them to verify their identity so we know who this guest is. This is important if this comes down to a dispute or a chargeback. We're going to say, okay, you validated the primary guest email address. So going forward, yeah, here I've scrolled down. I think we skipped, maybe, do we skip a slide? No, maybe that was me. Okay, so yeah, at the bottom of the agreement, then they can scroll down your agreement and they've got the sign box, right? And so if they tap on that, click to sign, that's when they're going to see kind of like a DocuSign-like interface. So they're going to enter their legal name and they can choose whether they want to just pick a font or whether they want to use a sign box. And they can scratch out their name on their phone or their desktop using the mouse and then click insert. And that's when they submit their signed agreement. And that will get rendered into, again, a locked certified PDF. They're going to see the completed task and be able to download the rental agreement from the guest portal. We'll also email a copy to them as well. But again, like some of the early behaviors we're seeing in the guest portal is that it's really giving great visibility to your house rules. The metrics and the tools we use to evaluate engagement, they're always opening up all the content and exploring all the content. So that's been really, I think, gratifying and exciting for us. And this is another place where obviously you want eyeballs on the rental agreement, the house rules, that improves compliance. So yeah, that's all been super exciting. We're going to try and get this again. Beta users who are direct hosts will have this hopefully by the end of the week, if not early next week, and we can go live with that. And yeah, be great to hear your feedback about how that's going. I think that's all on rental agreements. So otherwise, what the team is working on, yeah, still haven't gotten to Apple and Google Pay yet, but those are going to be the next payment methods we put live for direct, as well as on the premium side, the ability to take your entire fee as a host-only fee, so you can remove fees from the quote, and it looks like a fee-free channel. And then, yeah, the payment terms, meaning installment payments, paying in multiple payments instead of having everything up front. We've made a lot of progress. I know this has been a long project, but it's a big, gnarly project, and it does take some time. So we are dedicating resources to that. It just is taking some time. And then, yeah, on the platform side, we do have some improved API capabilities coming for anyone that uses their own direct site or works with other vendors to provide direct booking websites. We're going to make those a lot more full-featured and allow them to do things like make their own booking widgets for their sites. So that'll be exciting as well. Last thing I wanted to leave you on, I know the last town hall, there was some conversations in the chat about people that hadn't gotten a direct booking, that had their direct site live for a long time. And that kind of got me thinking about, what is the experience of direct? And I think part of me wanted to say, well, direct booking is kind of your host initiative. Like if you're going to be successful on direct, you kind of have to find what the initiatives are that make you successful. It's the one OTA channel in a sense. It's a non-OTA channel, but it's the one channel where you're not paying us to bring you leads. You're telling us you have your own customers, right? And so direct booking, traditionally at least, has been about how do I, only pay for a customer once. So I only pay, Airbnb or Booking.com once to give me a customer. I can remarket to them and bring them back to direct. But obviously, Hospitable wants to do more. We want to bring you more leads. We did that with Google Vacation Rentals. We want to keep looking at other channels to do distribution. That's part of the work that I just mentioned with the platform team is going to allow us to do a few more integrations that bring you lead gen to your direct booking websites. But the other side is like, how successful are people having? How much success are they having with direct? And so we went through our database just to look at the most successful hosts. And so this is kind of the distribution that we're looking at. Our top 10% tier, and again, this is, we've only been live for about a year. Top 10% have all done $20,000 or more in bookings. We've got 67 hosts that have done 50,000 or more, 23 that have done 100,000 or more. Our top booker has done $677,000 as of this morning in direct bookings. And if you think that's saving you between 10 and 14%, that's a pretty big amount of savings on your bottom line, and obviously a lot of bookings that maybe you wouldn't have gotten without that direct booking site. So not there to make you feel bad if you're struggling with direct, but just to give you something to aspire to. And I think the marketing team is kind of cooking up a bit of an awards kind of tier status that you can reach with direct to make that a bit more competitive and fun. We want to help you grow your business, and we'll keep investing in our tools. And yeah, if you get it right, you can do quite a lot of business on direct. And that biggest customer, again, $677,000, is using a Hospitable standard site. They didn't invest in anything fancy. They've got some unique inventory, and we're going to start profiling some of these hosts and kind of sharing their stories and what they do that's working in the Hospitable channel. So look forward to some more tips about how to excel with direct. And with that, I am finished, and we'll pass the torch to Core and Connectivity.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. First, I will start out with some updates as a result of Airbnb's summer release. They announced this a couple of weeks ago, and we have since been making some improvements on our side to account for some new things that Airbnb's released. The thing I have to announce today is that we're now better handling when multiple guests are participating in a single messaging thread. So what this looks like in Hospitable as of moments before this town hall is you can now hover over the guest, and you can see any other additional guests that are participating in that thread. And then like on the left side, you can see, a circle with their first initial in there, as well as the name above the message that they've sent. This was a real message, so I had to blur out almost everything to keep people protected, but you can get the idea here. Before we shipped this update, we were receiving all this information from Airbnb, but any message that was coming from an additional guest, not the primary guest, was actually showing on the right side, which was resulting in you not being notified of those messages. And so with this update, this should function as expected moving forward. Next up, the kind of last thing we have to ship as a result of the Airbnb summer release is better handling of emoji reactions. This is not breaking anything right now. You're notified when when guests are reacting to your messages with an emoji. But in our opinion, it's taking up a little bit too much real estate in the messaging thread, because the way that it currently looks is it'll be like so-and-so hearted this whole message, and it like basically reiterates the whole message. And so as an improvement, we're just going to be doing like exactly what you'd expect when you're texting a friend, and we'll throw that emoji right on the message so you can see who's reacted to what and when. All right. Next up, we've got an update on owner statements for you. We've been kind of being a little bit vague about this in the past couple of weeks, and that's really just because it's really tough to talk about this without actually having things to show. And we're at the point now where we're ready to show some things. So here we go. This is our progress on owner statements. We have completed development on what we're calling the onboarding flow. This is going to walk hosts through the process of giving us all the information that we need to be able to generate a statement and potentially or eventually send a statement to your owners. So when we were taking a look at the competitors in the space and seeing how owner statements are handled, we found and we heard from many of our customers that it's really overcomplicated and kind of tough to grasp. And our goal with this was to make that not the case with Hospitable and make this a very simple, easy to use feature that you can really onboard yourself to if you don't want to get help from sales, which you'll always have the ability to do as well. So I've got this kind of GIF looping on the side so you can see what this simple onboarding process looks like. But essentially, you'll be adding your owners, assigning properties to that owner, and then last but not least, configuring a reservation commission that applies to that owner and that property. For the reservation commission you see here, you can shift the percentages that you take from the accommodation and the guest fees, and then even add a flat fee per reservation if you do it that way. These three little bits, combining these and adding customizations for the accommodation, guest fee, and flat fee, you'll be able to get quite a lot of flexibility out of that. We are going to put this to private pilot and see how people are using it and see what else is remaining. I know that a lot of hosts do something super specific, and we do plan to support more granularity down the line. But as our initial release for pilot and for beta, we're going to start with these three, and I think it's going to cover most of the use cases. We talked to a lot of hosts, and this is what they told us that they needed. So we're excited to have a nice, simple onboarding flow there. The next piece on the next slide is transactions. So as you know, a statement not only shares the reservations and the commissions that you're making from those reservations, but also includes money that you're spending, outside of like what you might see on a booking platform. And so we are also going to be giving you the ability to add transactions into Hospitable. These are really great because you can add a transaction and then you can add individual line items and assign each line to a property. So you might have gone to Costco and stocked up on supplies for several properties at once. So you can add a transaction for that supply restock and then go into the lines and say, this amount applies to property A. This amount applies to property B. All of this is so that we can really build a strong foundation to have nice, clean, proper accounting integrations down the line. We're not going to be releasing to beta with those accounting integrations in place, but that's what's going to follow quickly after. And this is the foundation for that. Next, you'll be able to select the category. So this is either like supplies, maintenance, could be uncategorized, something like that. And the final thing I'll point out here is the ability to add a markup at the line level. So we've heard from many property managers and who basically will like do a supply run and then maybe like upcharge the owner $20 because not only do they have to buy the supplies, but now they have to run to the property and put the supplies in place, right? So for each individual line, you can add a markup if that's applicable. And again, that is going to kind of under the hood be structured in a way that is going to work really, really well with our future accounting integrations and pave the way for trust accounting and all of that stuff. Last but not least is the actual statements piece of this, right? And unfortunately, I still don't have anything to show for the actual statement, but I think you can use your imagination. A statement is a collection of all of the things we just talked about, right? It has owner information, property manager information, reservations, commissions, and transactions, all calculating to create like what your commission should be and what the owner owes you, or vice versa, what you owe the owner if you take the payouts yourself. So we're in the process of working with our partner to be able to generate those PDFs. And that's what we're planning on going to private pilot with, giving you the ability to generate a PDF of a statement that has all of those puzzle pieces that I just talked about together in one cohesive place. Obviously, after that, there's a lot of directions we can grow with this. We'll probably release shortly after the ability to send these in some sort of automated fashion and what have you. So we're excited. I think we've gotten to the point where we, again, have all the puzzle pieces in place. And now that we have the ability to work on generating these PDF statements, I think things will move very quickly from this point forward. So we're excited to kind of wrap this up. Just for a quick overview of our phased launch plan, we have Hospitable employees who are also hosts kind of banging around in this right now to see that it's working and things are calculating appropriately. And we do plan to kick off our private pilot in June. I've got a nice hefty list of you who've been interested in that, and I'll be reaching out to start this private pilot. And then we'll just march forward from there, go to beta, and hope to release this to a general audience sometime in July or early August, which is going to be the one thing we need to release our mogul plan. So that's kind of an owner statements overview. I'm hoping for the next town hall, I can actually show you a statement, which will be very exciting. So that's all I've got for today. Miles.
Sweet. Thank you very much, Emily. Yeah, so that's a wrap on our product updates for the day. I'm just going to bring up our future events again for anyone wanting to quickly scan the QR codes there for our direct Q&A next week and our next town hall happening in 2 weeks' time. And then we're going to move into the Q&A section of our event. So just as a reminder, you have the ability to come on stage to ask a question. If you go to the reaction button at the bottom of your screen, click that and then click raise hand. We'll be able to see if you're interested in coming on stage to ask a question. If you prefer to type out your question, please try to do so in the Q&A functionality, also at the bottom, rather than in the chat. If you put it into the chat, we struggle to see who we've answered and keep track of any reply comments, that kind of thing. So just helps us out to make sure that we're doing an efficient job of getting back to everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before we get started,
Yeah.
just a general announcement, because unfortunately we're live. That's a test of it. So unfortunately, Intercom, which we're using for customer support, is not loading. So if you currently are looking for a way to interact with the support team over live chat, that's currently not working, not available. This is not. We would love to basically have the live chat back. But unfortunately, they are experiencing an issue at this point in time. And we're thinking that, okay, no problem, you can send an email. Well, actually, Intercom is currently not loading right now for our own agents. So that means currently our support lines are currently busy, and we are all waiting for Intercom service to be restored so that we can start answering for you. So some of them are live on the town hall chat and answering for the Q&A. So thank you for everyone who's basically putting those things on the Q&A so that we can retrieve that content a little bit later. But yeah, for now, unfortunately, it seems like you cannot access our support team. That's just going to be temporary. And we're hoping that by the end of this town hall, support access is restored. So it seems like this town hall is actually the best way to get support right now.
Indeed.
So, indeed. Okay, so we can start the Q&A section. Is there anything that you would like to bring up? Just have to raise your hand. So far, it seems like we don't have anyone, if I'm correct. That is, I think. Oh yeah, obviously, just mentioning that there is basically an unusual suspect that basically is raising their hand. And if you're a bit shy or don't want to bring something up, you can always obviously ask that in the Q&A section. Hello.
Hello.
NVIDIA.
Hello.
NLC.
Can y'all hear me?
Hey, Hassan,
We
how are you
can
doing?
indeed.
Hey guys, how are you all doing? Well,
Doing good. What's up?
good. I had a couple questions. So, will Hospitable implement a call action button under the message thread? Like on my app, for example, if I'm looking at the conversation, do y'all have any plans of implementing a call to action button for the guest directly?
We talking about a phone call or like a marketing call to
Right.
action?
Yeah, no. So for example, if I need to contact my guest at the moment on the app, you have to like copy the number and then
Yep.
go to your phone and then paste it, so on and so forth. So my question is, will y'all be adding a call to action button by any chance?
Yeah, so a click to call, I
Or
think is
yeah,
what we've referred to it internally, and I've seen some mock-ups of both the ability to just one tap copy the phone number and as well to call, but that work has not been roadmapped yet. I can predict with some cloudiness of clairvoyance that we're going to be looking at the inbox in a big way soon to do some. I mean, you guys have really been asking for SMS to guess. WhatsApp as a preferred channel for reservations as well, and being able to switch between those channels as well as better call functionality. So I think we're going to kind of wrap a project together that's probably going to include that. We haven't looked into detail about what kind of tools we would use to make that possible, but that's pretty commoditized technology now. So I don't think we're going to find blockers there, and hopefully we have good news for you in the not too distant future. But yeah,
yeah,
no ETA.
okay, sweet. And then another question, and I don't know if this is on my end, but when I get an inquiry, like I can't see any of the details as far as like the nightly rate, the cleaning fees and all that. Is that like something to do with my account, or is that just across the board?
I'm not sure what it's like Airbnb specifically or
Across the board. So
okay.
like I can't see any details. Maybe I don't know if that's something that y'all can answer right now, if I need to get with the support team.
Yeah, I don't think we're seeing like a widespread problem with that. So it might be something specific with your account. We would expect you to see like the breakdown of all the financials in the right sidebar when you're looking in the inbox. Is that where you're
Right.
looking? Or
Yeah, it is.
okay.
I'll take a look again and see small details, nothing crazy. I just thought I'd ask. Okay, cool. And then another thing, I think Emily had addressed this. So like if I'm understanding correctly, instead of like, so now when a guest reacts to your message per Airbnb summer release, which is a pretty cool feature, the message was being basically copied into the inbox thread. So now that's going away. Y'all are just going to have it to where like the guest reacts to the message directly and it doesn't like copy back into the chat, correct?
Yeah, you'll still be notified of it because we think it could be important depending on what your message is. Like for example, Alyssa gave a great example internally. What if you say like, do you want us to heat the hot tub? And they thumbs up that. Like that, you need to know about that. So we'll continue to notify you when they react and who reacted and when and to what message. But yeah, currently it's saying it'll be like Bob reacted thumbs up to, do you want me to preheat the hot tub? And it's just yeah, basically reiterating that back to you, which is just an overkill, basically taking up too much space. So
Yeah, awesome.
mhm.
Okay, yeah, that's a big step. Because I had noticed that when the message was being sent back, AI was detecting like parking, for example, and then my message was going out and the guest was getting confused. So it shows that y'all's AI technology works. But I'm happy to hear that y'all are doing what you're doing with that. So that's all I have. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, and for the AI piece specifically, Anmol, can you clarify if the AI team has already started ignoring those Airbnb emoji messages?
Yeah, so I think what he's talking about is related to questions for which we use Dialogflow. But yeah, if let's say if a question is repeated, then it does end up detecting it twice. But moving forward, once we support emoji reactions, it won't be detected again.
Okay, awesome. I honestly, I love that it detected it twice because it's working. Okay, great. Well, keep innovating. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to bring the next person on. So Selden, welcome on stage. Hello.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
We can indeed.
All right. Thanks for letting me up. I had a quick question. So I also co-host for other Airbnb hosts, and their listing is not working as efficient as my listings are working. So for some reason, it's not sending out automatic responses properly, and their hospitality is kind of prompting me to have my host sign into the software. And I kind of run the business like a property manager, and I try to eliminate the work that my owners and hosts have to do. And they're very busy people, and some of them trying and they're having a lot of issue, and it's a little bit messy, and they don't want to do it. And so I just want to know if there will be any improvement if I add properties that I co-host without having to ask my main host, who I'm doing property management for, to sign into the software.
Yeah, I can answer that one, Selden. So for the most part, when you're a co-host on a listing, we actually don't get the same type of information from Airbnb that we would get had you been the listing owner on the listing. So we are operating under a couple of limitations there where we do require that you connect the listing owner. Otherwise, we can't be expected to send to receive events from Airbnb as quickly. And so that's what you're saying, like you're noticing that some of the automated messages aren't going out when you expect. That's because instead of it happening automatically, we're actually going to pick up those events on like a recurring sync that happens every couple of hours instead of immediately. So for the time being, you do really need to connect to your listing owner if you want it to function in the exact same way. I will say that as a part of Airbnb's summer release, they probably didn't announce this to the larger host audience because it's more for partners, but they did make some changes with people who are co-hosts where they're now giving listing owners the ability to give co-hosts additional permissions. So we haven't accounted for this yet, but in the future, we should be able to check your permissions as a co-host and say, do you have permission to, do X, Y, Z? And if so, then we wouldn't need to prompt you to invite your listing owner. But for the time being, you still do. Another piece of clarification, when you're inviting the listing owner, we are not actually inviting them to become a user of Hospitable. They're going to go through a pretty quick flow where they're simply only connecting their Airbnb account and like saying allow. And that's it. They don't get a login to Hospitable. They never need to log in again. It's just that we need like one additional piece in order for our integration with Airbnb to function in a better, smoother way like you're expecting. So that's kind of the lowdown right now. You need to connect your listing owner now. But I'm hoping that in the near future, and we can give more detailed updates on this in a future town hall, you won't have to in all cases.
Okay. Yeah, so my host was just having a little bit of issues with that process, and I didn't understand, and the communications back and forth was kind of getting lost because we're both very busy and managing a lot of things. But they did try, and they weren't able to successfully set it up, and I have full permissions to all my co-hosting listings. So if it's a permission thing, I don't know what it is, but I just hope to see I could a little improvement in that. Maybe with the Airbnb release, it might improve as well.
Great. Thank you very much for your question, Sol. Okay, moving on now. I'm going to invite Gabriel on stage. Hello, Gabriel.
Hey,
Hi there.
can you hear me?
We can.
Sweet, awesome. Quick question. I have a virtual assistant staffing agency that helps Airbnb hosts, and we are starting to get Airbnb hosts who are interested in hiring us as virtual assistants for their business. Is there a way that you see where it can flow easily, where we integrate the owners into Hospitable and we manage their properties?
So hello, Gabriel. So that's about the velocity of onboarding. So it's typically inviting them to connect an account with you or with your Hospitable account or something else.
Correct. With my Hospitable account, correct.
Yeah. So that's probably also one thing that Emily was talking about in particular. So that's basically the way it works is that you have this page where you can invite a host to connect their Airbnb account. For example, right now over to your Hospitable account, they will be able to control which listings they would like to add to your account in particular, and then that means you are able to see that listing immediately as part of your account on Hospitable.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah,
And then second question is we're not able to send images via Hospitable. Is that something that's being worked on, or is there a way around it?
I think so there are ways where you can do that, but definitely I'm going to let Andrew take over.
Yes, I think we haven't finished entirely all full channel support for that, but definitely Airbnb, I believe Booking.com and Vrbo should all be supported. I think maybe Direct is the only one that I haven't been able to verify yet. But yeah, when you're in the inbox, you should have a file attachment. I know the front end team is working on ways to do that in a bit more elegant way. So drag and drop as well as copy and paste. So if you copy an image from a website, you can paste that into the text editor. That's what they're working on now. And then I think when that work is ready to be kind of QA'd and looked at, we'll go through and just make sure that we have full channel support as long as we're able to do that with the channel. But that's the intent. So you should have at least partial channel support now for images. You'll see I think a paperclip icon in the inbox if it's supported on that conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
Thank you. Okay, so now moving on to Hung. Welcome on stage.
Hey there, guys. Can you guys hear me?
Perfectly well. How can we help you today?
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a while since I've been on one of this, and I just want to say you guys are doing God's work. I appreciate you guys a lot. Just wanted to say that first before I ask my questions. Yeah, so I have a couple questions. I think you already, I think Emily already went through, I think a lot of it, but I didn't hear, maybe I missed it, but I wanted to ask regarding the invoices and receipts. I did saw the line item stuff, but I wanted to see, would there be any future updates regarding like the adding invoices and receipts and stuff like that? Because that's probably one of our biggest headache right now at the end of the month, just sending those statements out. And we're kind of like debating in our last team call is like whether we should look for another alternative, because it's one of the things that's been the most time consuming, even though like we started day one with you guys. And so I'm trying to hold out until an update comes. I'm like, it's taking so much time at the end of the month that you know, it's probably one of our team members. Basically, I don't see her for probably 5-6 days while she's doing it manually. And so yeah, I just wanted to ask that question really quick.
Yeah, that's a great point. Our focus at this time, just to get to private pilot, has been like, what's the simplest way we can move forward and get the data we need? However, obviously, like uploading receipts and invoices, and the next iteration of that, parsing that so you don't have to manually enter anything, or speaking it to AI and having it input it for you. Like, we have like a long, fun roadmap of things we can do to improve that. But yeah, I think the first next step would be like attach your receipt to this transaction so we can keep a collection of or a record of the documents that you have related to each one.
Okay, so it's coming, but little by little, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So just question. So do your owners expect you to send all the receipts each month along with the statement? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So as of right now, not yet. We right now it's just line items and stuff like that. But it's just kind of like I'm expecting the questions to come. Just making sure I'm on top of it beforehand.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
And basically to add to Emily's answer, is that that's where the accounting integration may be coming into play, because you're going to need to upload that receipt and that documentation directly to your QuickBooks, to your Xero, to your Sage Intact accounting software, which are the ones that we are contemplating for the first batch. And we're looking forward to adding Stesa because we know it's also a popular request. But that's really going to be also, that's where you also will be expected to upload your receipts. So there's going to be an integration play out there whenever there is a asking for more documentation out of an expense. So either we retrieve that from your accounting software, or we push it whenever you have one connected, so that we can do whatever is best for you. But yeah, that's probably a V2 after the first launch. Thank you for
Gotcha.
the great
Okay.
question.
Yeah, yeah. Is it okay if I ask another one, or we're kind of short on time?
Go for it. You can ask away.
Okay, awesome. Let me see. And yeah, regarding the messages, it's not a huge issue, but I wanted to ask really quick. With messages, sometimes they don't update unless like we leave the chat and then come back into it. Is there an update regarding that coming up, or has it been looked at or considered at all? Because sometimes we'll have like multiple team members comment or replying to a guest, not knowing that it's already been replied, but then it hasn't shown in the other person's side yet. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
Yep. No. Yeah. That's an understood feature request as well. And I think one of the other things that I didn't mention was also bundled in that inbox project that we're looking at is yeah, collision detection.
Okay.
So we would let any other agents know that there's already an agent in the conversation, and they could see them typing, and they would know not to not to continue typing or to send a message.
Oh yeah, that would be great. Fantastic. And I guess last question is how do I become a beta tester? Do I just reach out to support? Because I'd love to try some of these new features. They're amazing.
It's even better than that. You don't have to reach out to support. Where is it? It's in preferences, settings, preferences.
You click in preferences, and there is a toggle to enable experimental features. So you can be part of that beta batch, which actually last time we checked was about 30% of our user base. So that's why even now this user base is too big. So we need to do control rollouts. For example, things around AI. You heard Anmol talking about percentages of that beta audience, so we can check and monitor things ourselves more conveniently than releasing that to 4,000 customers in one go.
But also the happiest.
Please leave me in there. I'm happy to report any bugs that come up. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
And yeah, thank you for the questions. And yeah, as Andrew is saying, currently when we check the satisfaction, it seems like basically beta users are happier. That's also because they got a heads up on more AI features recently. That's the only thing that has been changing recently. Short of rental agreements coming soon. Okay, next question, Miles.
Cool. We are moving on to AB now. Hello, and welcome on stage.
Hello, AB.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Fantastic.
Really quick question. The AI feature for public responses to reviews I know in the past you'd have to go into your inbox, go to that review, and then use the AI feature. Well, is there now a feature now that'll automatically reply if we want within X amount of days to that person's review? Because I feel like it's a nice gesture when someone writes you something publicly, you respond publicly to show that you're showing, attention to everyone's review.
Yeah, I can take that one. So right now we are still seeing or determining how many of our hosts are actually sending the reviews as written by the AI. And once we are confident in the fact that 90% of the hosts are just taking a look at the review and just a review reply and just sending it as is, maybe that's when we will enable that feature. But for now, we want hosts to be able to review the reply and then manually send it.
Got it. Can we do it similar to like some of the other things where you give us, how to say, review and then send as opposed to just sending? I know in like some other features when you're sending messages, it's like, review before sending. So or if you never hit send, it doesn't send, but at least it gives you the option to click the review and send. for public reviews, as opposed to going into the inbox and then having to find that guest and then look at the review and reply via AI.
That makes sense. So right now you should be receiving push notifications on your app or your browser, but we can also make it an email notification as well. So you can just click on a button and that can happen on your behalf.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
So, sorry, is what you're asking really visibility, having a list of all pending review replies that have been prepared for you so that you basically can review them more easily?
Yeah, exactly. Because like going into the inbox and then finding that person's conversation and then, oh, they
I
wrote
think
your
like,
review and then clicking, oh, AI looks great, then send, as opposed to like you guys push that to us and say, hey, this is what we're going to send. You okay? Go.
okay, got it. I think we can do that work really as part of guest experience and dashboard. We already have, rather than adding yet another email, which will be adding over to the pile.
Awesome.
But
Thanks,
yeah, thank you, Avi, for the feedback.
Of course.
Definitely coming later.
Awesome. Next up, we have Kendall. Welcome on stage, Kendall.
Hey, Kendall, how can we help you today? Yes.
Hi there.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. What are you doing?
I'm a new owner and I'm pretty new to Hospitable, and I can tell I'm completely underutilizing the app. I really just use it for guest experience mostly, which I really do like the automated messages. And I have seen the AI responses and I've not actually used them yet. My question is, I have a website. I get most of my bookings through Airbnb, and I'm just trying to figure out how to link into the direct booking. That's kind of the main reason I got the Hospitable, and I just don't really know how to connect the two. And this may be a very easy or simple question, but that is my question.
Sure. Yeah, I sent you a link in the chat that's kind of to get you started on where the kind of tutorials are on that. We've got a video series now as well, if you prefer that. But there's a lot to cover, so probably more than I can manage right now. But the idea is it should be simple for you, right? When you connect your Airbnb listing, we have all of your property information and we're able to basically generate a site for you. We also need a way to pay you. So those two things are kind of the job one for you, is to add a payout method. And that depends on what plan you pick. So there's, again, a little bit more homework there to decide how you want to do that. But you add a payout method and then you publish your site. And that gets it live. And as I kind of alluded to in my presentation, you're still going to have to do some work, right? Because when you publish your website, doesn't mean people are going to show up and bookings are going to magically appear. This is your channel now to share with your kind of growing list of contacts, your repeat guests, people you want to reach out to, figure out how to do that with. We have promo codes. We can collect email addresses. There's a MailChimp integration, Hospitable. There's a lot. You can really go deep on this. Yeah, you can get it published on Google Vacation Rentals as well once you've done those first couple steps, and that will give you some leads, hopefully.
Okay. Another quick question. So I've been using QuickBooks to kind of keep up with all of my expenses and things, but it sounds like, are y'all kind of moving in that direction at some point where owners can keep everything on Hospitable?
I think that, well, yeah, go ahead.
I think that may be a bit far-fetched. What we're looking about right now is really for owner statements. So that's really for property management companies, co-hosting businesses, typically service businesses for owners. Is that your case?
I'm an owner and I'm managing my property myself currently.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I just wondered if you were moving in that direction at some point.
Yeah, through an LLC, and you have an accounting software, and you, just like every business owner in the world, needs to file your expenses and documentation. Yeah, familiar with that. So there is nothing planned in our roadmap at this point in time, but I believe there is room for, especially for a future mogul plan, to basically also talk to owners, to not just to property managers and co-hosting businesses. So that's where we are building those accounting integrations for, but really something that we're going to be able to give you some more interesting metrics to make sure that you have, your accounting and compliance is handled correctly as well. So nothing for now, nothing in the next 6 months, but I would love to have something for property owners like you, which are overwhelmingly the industry, create the industry, the short-term rental industry and our user base, for them to get that benefit if they want to.
Okay, thank you. And I'll take a look at the chat box when I'm not driving. I sure appreciate it.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much,
Good luck,
Kendall.
Kendall.
Drive safe.
Awesome. So we have a few more people to get through and only 6 minutes left. So next up we have Mark. Welcome on stage, Mark.
Hey everyone. Quick
Hello, Mark.
question. I'm fairly new to the platform, and I have a guest communications team that handles some of my guest communication, and I have them set up as a user in Hospitable. But right now, the only way that they're able to tell if there's any messages from a guest is if they go in and just reload Hospitable. So because they're an outsourced team, like they don't have Hospitable on their, phone and, through the app. So is there any way to be able to notify them via email that there are new conversations or new inquiries coming in through guest communication inbox?
Drew, I think that's related to the previous question on the inbox project and all. Because normally we're
well,
refreshing the list of conversations and new messages
Yes.
as it comes up. There may
Yeah,
be
no,
some.
I wish I had a question in chat about that as well. We did add something called WebSockets. That's not important about a year ago, I think, in the inbox. But that gave us the ability to refresh messages on a regular rolling basis, so you don't have to refresh your page. So I would be surprised if that is required to refresh the page. But as far as notifications,
clarification there. I didn't mean they actually had to they have to basically keep going back and checking the browser instead of, they maybe handle stuff for other properties as well. So instead of getting like an email notification, it seems like the only way to get any kind of notification that there's a message is if you use one of the apps and not through an email.
Yeah, I mean, we send browser notifications, and those are also push notifications if they're using the app, right? I'd be hard pressed to think of an email scenario where we would email you with every message. That would be overwhelming for most hosts. But Alyssa, do you have any thoughts on why?
See if they can enable the browser notifications, and maybe that'll be part of
They need to be signed in, and maybe that's the issue. Is if they're juggling multiple accounts, maybe they're not always signed into your account. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was gonna be what I mentioned is the browser notifications as well. But it's important that if your teammates do need to have access to actually respond to guests, that it's definitely better for them to have their own secondary user account with the permissions that make sense for them, and then they can see all of those. They can get notifications either browser or in their mobile app, in a mobile app. If they do use a mobile app, they can. But that's going to be the best way to do it, to get something live. Otherwise, with email, you're still going to get a lot of delays. Things get jumbled. You don't get the same thread, and it still will get a little jumbled for you, I think.
Okay, thanks.
Just for adding there, we have an engineer that's kind of look into the situation, because normally we're expected absolutely to be refreshing conversation with the latest messages, at least on the inbox view. So when you load the inbox, you should be able to see which are the recent messages on the top. That's expected behavior. So maybe there's something somewhere that's not working as anticipated, because we're seeing things in the chat as well for what's being shared with us that basically led to that being a bit of a problem at this point. Okay.
Cool. I don't know if we're going to manage to get to everyone because a few extra people have been raising their hands, but Heba, inviting you on stage.
Heba, fantastic. Hello, Heba. Welcome again
Hi.
from Facebook.
I know. I'm your most vocal.
No, quite a margin. How can we help you today?
So I have a question about the direct integrations with an external website. I haven't attempted it yet, but I've seen other people say that there's no way to filter for location. So for example, I host in 5 different states. So is that something that's coming soon, where if somebody goes onto my website and they want to book in the Outer Banks, they're not, pulling up properties in, Davenport, Iowa?
Yeah. So to be precise. There is a very limited way to filter on locations, and you can select locations from the dropdown and then property search, and we will sort your results in that. But the map view is going to show your entire area at the moment. That was something that was part of the initial release of property search that we haven't gotten back to yet. Hopefully getting back to soon. But yeah, we can do a much better job about setting the map center point, the map zoom level appropriate for the location of that search, but that's not done yet. But the search results will be sorted by location and availability from the location selected. So it can be improved, but it's kind of working to a degree right now.
Got it. And that's for like external sites too, or is that on like Hospitable's direct site?
Yeah, so it's when you're using property search, it's a bit of a mix, right? So we're going to give you a widget, and you're going to install that widget on your external site. You're going to give us a URL to a page where we're going to show the search results. So we're kind of then sending that content to you on your site, and then you're going to give us the URL of the property to link to from those results. So it's kind of a very collaborative feature. It's a mix of efforts.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
That's all.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I'm hoping everyone here can go a couple more minutes because I'm about to invite Greg on stage.
Let's invite Greg.
Yeah. Hello, Greg.
Hello, Greg. How can we help you today? Can unmute yourself. Maybe you've raised your hand for quite some time already.
Yep, I'm
Yes.
here. Do you hear me now?
You're here. We can hear you now.
All
How are you
right.
doing?
So I am new to direct. Been with you guys for 2 years, but I just started doing the direct. Took a little time to get the Google Vacation Rentals updated, but it looks like it's up now. Do you have a question about how it syncs with Google and how do you edit that piece? I noticed the sequence of the pictures are different than what I have on Hospitable. The title hasn't changed over, a couple little things like that. I got some answers in the question and answers, but I was just seeing where we're heading with that.
Yep. Yeah. So the title one is interesting. I'd have to look into that. As I mentioned in my comment, yeah, the photos are completely out of our control. That's something that Google is going to do in their own kind of way and not tell you how it works. But that's fine. In general, like I said, we're taking all of your property details and syncing them with Google. I think that's happening on a 24-hour schedule. So depending on when you make the update, it gets sent to Google every 24 hours. Now, when they make the update, we don't know. Sometimes it takes them up to 2 weeks to make changes. So that part has been a real learning experience on our side. So there is a big lag, and that does create a lot of frustration, I think, and like, okay, I made a change. Why am I not seeing it? You need to be patient with Google. That's what we've learned. Yeah, I can check if it's been, a long time and you haven't seen a title change. But in general, we should be syncing nightly, and you would see changes eventually get worked out into the system.
Just the title was totally different than what I have on my, on Hospitable. It was
Meaning
like a
it's never
previous one.
matched.
Yeah, it's not. It hasn't. It might be an old title from like, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, because we quite often change the title just to
Okay.
see
Yeah,
if
just
the
please don't
algorithm
have the
changes at all.
expectation that it's if you change it often that Google is going to pick that up. That just is not our experience with Google. And there's really nothing that I'm aware of that we could do to push that. They go through a very complicated multiple builds of sites that go through different levels of censorship, I guess, or quality checks before those get published. And it's a bit of a black box on our side as well, unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks
it.
for the question. Yep.
Thank you very much, Greg. Okay, I think we may have to call it there, folks. We're already creeping over on time, and I'm very conscious of it getting longer and longer this session. PC, any final thoughts for us that you want to leave it with?
Final thoughts, thoughts, me? What are you accusing me of now? No, thank you everyone for attending. This feels like a normal channel after the past two. We did get to talk about the other thing, and Andrew got more than his fair share of questions, so that's great. So we're looking for just a little bit of recap. We now have rentals agreements. They're available for direct, and they are being released. and they're being worked on. It's fantastic collaboration from a direct team, and that's built on top of the guest portal, which we announced already in the previous panel. So you can see that we're definitely not stopping. And there's AI features coming, so review replies, AI reviews all together. And Nikita is still working on guest experience AI. So making sure that you never send the same message twice to your guest. And what we hope to get out of it is also really being able to answer, to adapt messages for a long tail of features that require a long time for us to be working on and for you to configure, such as repeat guest. So we're looking forward to releasing more of those features. And so, yeah, see you next time in 2 weeks. When is it going to be? Like, what's going to be the date exactly?
June 12th.
Miles. June 12th. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day, and see you in 2 weeks, same place, same time.